Today, we're peeling back the layers of success in the home service industry with insights from a top marketing and branding expert. Learn transformative strategies that can ignite your growth and leadership. Ready to be inspired? Let's dive in.
Running a home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Justin Deese.
Hey, and welcome to Freedom Blueprint Podcast. We have a super special guest today. And for those of you who can't see, if you're not watching on YouTube or some kind of video format and you're listening to it online, I have the amazing Crystal Williams from Lemon Seed Marketing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, but only because your shirt has lemons on it.
Woo, it sure does. My wife and I, okay, so can I tell you a story? So we're getting to a point where our son is married and he's out of the house, and our daughter's a junior. So, you know, because she's a junior in high school, she doesn't need us for anything except money. Yeah. And yes, we went out to eat dinner a couple weeks ago, and we go out to eat dinner, and it was about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and we're heading back home. And my wife's like, "Hey, do you want to go into Target?" Okay, I'm not a shop. I don't like. I was like, "Is there something that we need?" She said, "Well, no, but I mean, what else do we have to do?" And I looked at her and I'm like, "Are we at that point in our life now?"
Yes, where Target is fun, and you're just like killing time by shopping.
But so I go in there and I see this shirt. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have to have that shirt." So that's the story of the shirt, that I live a boring life and I love Lemon Seed. And I think that you and your team are so amazing at marketing and branding and all the things that I do not see a lemon without thinking of you guys.
Oh, well, good. We hope so. We work hard to keep that brand image out there. We feel like we should practice what we preach. So when we're preaching this to contractors, we're like, man, we better practice what we preach here. So yeah, we love it. We love to see, we get sent all things lemon. People send us lemon memes. We get a lot of lemony attention.
I mean, what? I mean, that's the whole point. Top of the mind awareness, top of the mind awareness, top of the mind awareness. I think that's great. So before we get into all things Lemon Seed, because I do want to dig into that, I would like to know the journey. Like, because you're from the trades. I would love to know that story of what that looked like. Because you were a technician, right?
Yeah, no, but I was a dispatcher and a CSR from the time I could answer a phone correctly. So basically my family owns and operates a heating and air conditioning and plumbing company here in rural East Texas. For those of you that can't tell from my accent, here in Lufkin, Texas, which we're about 2 hours north of Houston or so, up on Highway 59. So we're actually pretty close to the Louisiana border. But so my family, we have this company we've had here. My grandfather retired from the Navy, like in the early 70s, went to work with an appliance and refrigeration company, started McWilliams. And yes, the joke is I went from McWilliams to Williams. I just dropped the Mac, if you say it that way. But my grandfather, he retired and wanted to just do something different. He had been pretty high up in the Navy and was doing a lot with the refrigeration on ships and things like that. So he landed here, which is a weird place to land, but he landed here in East Texas, and they started the company. And then when my dad got old enough, my dad went to work. My dad bought the company from my grandpa. Then when my brother got old enough, my brother, which I'm the oldest, and we have a sister, my sister and her husband own a pest control company, so we keep it all together. And then my brother's the youngest, and so my brother bought it from my dad probably about 8 or 9, maybe 10 years ago now. And so I worked there. We all kind of worked there throughout high school, answering phones. Like, I'm from back in the day where you would we didn't have cell phones, so it really kind of makes me older. But you would actually dispatch from a radio. So like base to unit 2 was my dad's number. Base to unit 101 was my grandfather's number. And so I dispatched and I filed and I called customers and I collected payments. I did all of those things. So when I got old enough to go to college, I was like, man, I'm not doing this. Right. So like women in the trades, marketing for heating and air conditioning companies, those just weren't things that were here
Right.
during that time. So I was like, I'm not doing this. Went to school, got my degree in communications and marketing and hospitality. Went to work for a local bottling company here. One of the very few, if not the only, independent Coca-Cola company is here in East Texas. So I went to work for them selling and marketing Monster Energy, Dr. Pepper,
Okay.
Coca-Cola, Big Red, all those things. So I started being really exposed to like marketing, new product launches, and things like that. And on a small scale, because again, it's East Texas, but I really got to really watch some big marketers. And then my dad has always had a great marketing mind. He just really understands like the mind of the consumer. So he was doing cool things before they were cool. So we were one of the first companies to have a jingle, one of the first companies to have our vehicles wrapped. So
Nice.
when my dad started moving away from the business more and wanting he and my mom retired from teaching. My dad and mom wanted to go do some ministry work, like volunteering with some feed teams, a disaster team
Yeah.
through our church. And so my brother called me and he said, hey, I'm getting ready to buy a company that's about 30 minutes north of us. And I also am ready to really make sure that we're marketing, we're branding. I want to do some stuff in the community. Like, can you come and help me? And my family, I'm very blessed. We all work well together. So I told Trey, I said, well, this is what I'm making and this is what I would need. And he was like, I can do that. Let's do this together. So I came to work for the company in 2014. And then he and I together grew the company 40% or so year over year. And so we're really excited. We're going to be over $28 million this year
Sweet.
in this small of a market. And we feel like just being good people, doing our best we can to be good to our team, to our community, and to our customers. And so we grew. So I started going to Service Nation Alliance
Yeah.
events, getting in groups like Advisory Board 80. My brother sat on a call for a while in his AB group. Larry Taylor was my dad's coach there at Service Nation. And Dave Rothacker and people like that just really kind of took McWilliams under their wings. And, here we are now. And so I started basically organizing people's marketing. I knew what it was like to work day in and day out in a contracting business, and I could speak KPI language. I understood buy downs on financing. I understood purchasing and procurement. Like, I understood those things. So I started just working like for a few people doing their marketing. And before I knew it, I had a full-fledged company. So Lemon Seed now manages over 75 contractors across the United States with customized comprehensive marketing plans. And I have 30 employees, almost all women. But here in little old East Texas and then across the state of Texas, half of my team is remote. So
Okay, that was going to be my question, because I was going to say 30 people in a small town. Although, how about this? Like, to do those big numbers in a small town, that's impressive.
Yeah. So, I tell this story quite a bit. So McWilliams and Son, which now we've relabeled ourselves to just be McWilliams, but McWilliams and Son at the time, we were just your traditional heating and air conditioning company. We did some duct cleanings, but we never really took it seriously, like average ticket, average install. So we were the first people to have a comfort advisor. We were the first companies to offer, one of the first companies, if not the first, to offer financing on new equipment. So we had to do those things because we had so much of the market share, because we were the only company marketing pretty much. And so now that's a different story. Like, now we have some good competitors here, which I kind of welcome that,
Yeah.
like some great other family owned companies that do great things are just it's just been good for the market as a whole. But we were doing all of that marketing and just trying to stay afloat of those things. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there when I said that part, but yeah, so that's how we grew. Then the reason that we had to add plumbing, I remember where I was at. The reason that we added plumbing was literally because we were kind of landlocked on adding locations. We'd already added 3 locations. And so to really take the company to the next level financially and like revenue wise, we had to do something. So then we went aggressively after launching a plumbing vertical. So that's how we grew McWilliams. Maintenance clubs and acquisitions, small little acquisitions on the plumbing side, and a couple on the HVAC side. But it was a fun. It's been a good journey. I'm still in the middle of it, so
Right.
still on it with them. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And I'll say what's interesting when you're talking about competitors coming in your market is, for me, I always think it is a good thing to have competitors in your market, because a lot of people are like, no, I don't want so and so much, but you do, because you want companies that train technicians and price competitively and do the right thing, because that just helps elevate really the customer base.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you too. So coming from somewhere that, like, everybody's uncle fixes ACs, and those people are hard to compete with. Like, you just can't, if you're going to, even if you're going to provide like healthy benefits plans to your team, and time off and matching IRAs and 401ks and all that, and you're going to have these nice Christmas parties and events and spiffs and all that, you got to actually still make money.
Right.
Well, you can't compete with a guy that's selling everything at, $300 above cost, So it's really healthy to drive that in. Now, when everybody's kind of on their game in marketing, then it's where to me, that's when it really gets fun, because there's plenty of work for all of us to do.
Yeah.
And I just take that as an opportunity to win what we can win, and what unique things can we do. I look at what they're doing and go the opposite direction. And for a while, everything we did, they did. So we sponsored Alzheimer's awareness. They sponsored Alzheimer's. We did a raffle. They did a raffle. Like, it was very much, we went with Service Titan, they jumped to Service Titan. It was just, we were very much, but then I remembered, like, the Lord kind of reminded me, like, in my spirit a little bit, that, if you're not getting kicked in the booty, then you're really not in the front. And so, you got to kind of lead through those waters with dignity, and with just with humility, in a sense of, like, we knew we were the bigger player in town, but we're not here to bash other companies, and we're to each their own. And so we just kind of trudged along. We were kind, we referred work, we used each other's resources when we needed to. We shared, they shared. And, I think we have a very healthy relationship with our competition. But also, like, I know that I try for us to be more creative and more innovative, and, do some wild things every once in a while that really stir the pot. Like, dang, how did they think of that? I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think that, contractors that have an abundance mindset, they tend to do better, right? I mean, that's just how, it's how it all works. Like, everybody can win. Every interaction doesn't have to be a win-lose. It could be a win-win. And that includes competitors, and that includes, them going to the same software that you're using, because now you get a whole new pool of people that have seen the software. And so, yeah, that's great. So, yeah. So you guys are you guys just in Lufkin now? Or are you in other?
No, so we have a location. So I speak in terms like brick and mortar now. So we have a brick and mortar location in Lufkin. So for anybody that's listening that knows Texas, so we've got Lufkin, Nacogdoches, Livingston, Huntsville, Sugar Land now, which is Houston. Those are our main locations for the McWilliams brand.
Okay. So, So something that I just remembered, Kristen, my wife, she came down and hung out with you guys. You did an AB80 group meeting.
Oh yeah, we called it AB80 Takes Texas.
Yeah, yes. And you guys did the little charcuterie board, which, by the way, my wife still talks about that. But she came back, and we were flipping through the TV one day, and there was a TV show that you were on that was about Lufkin.
Yes, so we had this local reality TV show that was being filmed here, and McWilliams and Son has sponsored the Hush Puppy Olympics for years, which is like a Hush Puppy cook-off contest at our festival. And so they featured us on that show.
That is correct. Yeah. So we were watching it, not knowing. We really didn't know. And then she's like, well, that looks familiar. That looks familiar. That looks familiar. And then they had you walking in on the stage doing something. And I'm like, well, that's Crystal. That was pretty cool. So,
yes.
So as far, okay. So let's talk a little bit about Lemon Seed. As obviously I know you're using a lot of those same, I don't want to use the word tactics. What's a better word?
Well, that's the word that we use, the word tactic a lot. Tactics and strategy.
Strategy. I like strategy better. So I know that you were doing a lot of those strategies before, But now that you are really helping other contractors get to that next level too, so what are some things that you guys are providing for, like, give us the breakdown of Lemon Seed.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So I do not think that we actually have anybody competing with us in this space. Which also, let me just put some cards face up. It's hard to do what we do because we're not templated. We are a very customized company. So what Lemon Seed is designed to do is basically be your marketing department at a fraction of the cost. So we call ourselves little fractional CMOs.
Oh, that's
Okay.
great.
So the hardest part about that is that every client gets this customized approach. So any of you guys that learn anything about scalability and things like that, that makes it hard to scale. What we've tried to really do at Lemon Seed is go in and say, hey, these are the best practices. So let's look at your digital footprint in the market. So who's your vendor? Like, we don't do websites, right? So we're going to come in and basically coach you through marketing. So who is your digital provider? What are they doing for you? What is their strategy? What are they charging you? And then how is that performing inside of your CRM? And so we start with that. And then we also say, hey, we also think you need to be doing Google local service ads, maybe some PPC, Facebook ads. And then what are you doing for direct mail? Here's some great vendors. And so we are basically a liaison between contractors and the world of vendors for heating and air conditioning and plumbing companies. And we also are fantastic at branding and brand awareness. And so we have rebranded probably over 20 companies by now, given them a brand new identity, look, feel, mascot, character, and then help them implement that into their community and organic social media and some email marketing. Those are things that we do in-house. And so we are the strategist for you. And we just try to come along beside you, come alongside you and just look at what your goals are, how fast you want to grow. And then we will remind you that it takes 3 things to grow to hit your revenue numbers. One of them is probably a slight price increase. The second one's going to be operational excellence. And then third in that equation is going to be marketing. So between those 3 things, we all have to work together to really reach those revenue goals. And so Lemon Seed's here to come alongside and say, this is where we think you should be spending your money. These are some creative offers. This is how we rehash your existing client base. This is how we're going to track it. And then just being the creative side for you and the doer side.
Yeah, that's all good because I think you're right. I don't know of any other company that competes with you guys, right? And
well, if they do, you have to have your website through them. So there's several other great companies that are web-based companies, like they're your website vendor first, and then they will also coach you through other things. I like to think of us as we are your brand protector, and then we help you push that brand out into the market through creative advertising strategies.
And I think another thing that you guys do that is really, really amazing that a lot of times falls through the cracks, especially because a lot of people have like digital marketers and then they have this other thing, is that you lose this brand cohesiveness. And I think you guys do a really good job of making sure that what's on the billboard and what's on the website and what's on the mailer, it all looks like the same company.
It does. And, a lot of contractors, when I talk to them, we kind of interview each other before you come on board with Lemon Seed. And so I'll say, a lot of times the contractors will say, I'm just not creative. Like if you give me some ideas, I'll pick one that I'm willing to do.
Right.
And Lemon Seed even goes as far as to saying, hey, like, here's a call script. Here's the text message. We try to really set the contractor up, because if you can work on the operational side of the business and we can help you on the actual creativity side, the implementation side, that is where you start really moving the needle. Some is when those things really start being cohesive and everybody's aligned and you feel. My goal is if you're a contractor, if you ever get called on the carpet by your service manager or a technician and they say, what do we even do to drive leads? I want them to be able to say, well, we're doing this and this and this and this, have all of this plan and not just like, I don't know what we're doing,
Hoping the phone rings.
We just want to be a support.
Yeah. They're hoping the phone rings.
Absolutely.
So I was, it's been a couple of years ago now. You were speaking at an event, and I don't remember which one it was, but you played, because you were talking about marketing, and you played I don't remember if it was it wasn't a voicemail. It was like the hold music. Like you call a company and it was the whole music. And I think the point of what you were talking about was kind of that whole brand all the way across. And you played a clip, and I wish I could remember what company it was, and it doesn't really matter, but you played this clip, and it tied everything into the main brand. And I remember texting my business partner, and I said, we got some stuff to do, man. And I wish I could remember what it was, but it was great. Like you played the voicemail, and you could see the whole room go, oh.
Yes, yeah. And so listen, like too, like I speak on a lot. So here again, I like to put my cards face up. You'll see that I'm very transparent. Listen, the easy part is talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you said, like you text your friend because together y'all got to go back in. And now the implementation side of marketing is by far the hardest part. So we can come up with crazy ideas and fun things and aggressive offers, but then someone has to actually pony up the money, and somebody actually has to input things into systems, and then someone has to train people, and then someone has to inspect what we expect. And so it becomes quite the challenge. And so we don't even pretend that this is not a big undertaking, because really the biggest thing that contractors can do for their marketing is be consistent. When people tell me, like, what is making the phone rings? I'm like, consistency. And people that their phones are ringing now, it's probably from the work that they did 6 or 7 months ago. Mm-hmm. And so like there's very few things that you can be like, man, I did this right now, and it immediately made my phone ring. The closest thing to that right now is a rehash strategy, like texting your existing database and calling out and things like that. But even that still takes a little bit of time. And so you're right, like really being cohesive. The customer journey too is very undervalued a lot of times in the home service industry, because, restaurants have taken it very seriously for a long time, and like cruises and things like that, because the whole entire experience with your brand starts from the minute that they are exposed to it environmentally in their market. So what your vans look like, what your billboards look like. So do you have a truck that's parked over there at the liquor store with somebody hanging out of the side of it with a cigarette in their mouth playing on their phone? Like, that's your brand. That, whether you like it or not, you can have the prettiest designed vehicle out there, but that's going to be what your brand is recognized for. Or or you have nothing up. You don't have anything in your community for people to know who you are, or that you're even an option for them. So no signs, no billboards, no trucks rolling around, nothing. People say, well, I have a website. Well, I don't know about you, Justin, but at night I don't go peruse plumbing websites for fun. And so a lot of times it's just lack of being out there, or your team has put you in predicaments where, oh, those are the guys that are always parked on the side of the highway talking, like I tell my team
down the road texting.
Absolutely. I was just about to say a similar thing. Oh, those are the guys that blew through that funeral procession. I live in the South. Everybody's supposed to pull over on all sides of the road when there's a funeral procession. And let a McWilliams van go through there. I will slash some tires, but it's all in the idea of brand protection. And so, I see that contractors really mess that up, and they don't mean to, right, but they just do,
Well, from a contractor perspective, and for most business owners, they come from the trades, right? And so they'll start out as a technician, and then they, have this entrepreneurial seizure, and they go to start their own business. And then the reality of, wait a minute, being a tech has nothing to do with running my business. And then then they're like, okay, well, now I got to understand my numbers. That's a challenge. And then they're like, well, now my phone's not ringing. So then they think a website is the end all be all. Uh-huh. That is so one part of it. Like, that's the one dimensional part of the whole story. And I think as contractors too, we think a lot about, the KPIs, and maybe even, some people even talk about customer lifetime value, but like you said, the customer journey is way more.
Well, it's so much more long-term. I give a presentation that's called Layering Your Marketing, and I use a cake for an example. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to eat a cake of flour. A cup of flour is not a cake. It's an ingredient, but it's not a cake. So a lot of people only want an ingredient. So they just want a website. I'm like, that's literally an ingredient. That's not the whole finished product. And so a whole finished product, a comprehensive plan would mean we needed eggs, milk, oil, whatever else we need, And I tell this all the time because my husband makes this delicious cake that his grandmother taught him how to make. And if he gets one thing off, it'll change either the texture or the look or something of that cake. So he's very methodical that he makes the cake the same way every time. Even if I buy a different brand of flour, and I'm so corny, I'm like, this is such marketing right here. Like, people are like, I don't understand why you won't eat my cake. And I'm like, well, that is a bowl of flour. That is not a cake. And I use that a lot. And then, like, on top of the cake are all the pretty things, like a mascot. Like, you put all these icings and beautiful fondant decorations, right? Those are extra things like print. Those are like collateral things. Like when you get a really good jingle and you've got a mascot and things like that. But when we really get down to the basics of building a solid foundation for our marketing, it includes way more than just a website. It also includes those branding pieces. It includes calls to action. It includes a rehash strategy. It includes the other portions of just environmental awareness for your brand and your market.
I mean, that is such not only great information, but as I think about it, you being a marketing expert, and you are, right? And my branding expert, hence why I'm wearing this shirt. So even as I'm sending you emails about being on the show and hanging out with me, and I'm thinking, oh man, I wonder if my marketing's right. It's almost like, you have to message your teacher, your kids' teachers, and you're like, oh crap, it's English teacher. I better Grammarly that real quick.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, I can tell you the biggest thing that I see. The biggest thing that I see is a lack of a comprehensive approach. Kind of like I mentioned, so right now, if you were to think, what do you do for marketing? And if your only answer are digital tactics, that's your first problem. And then the second problem would be if your brand is nothing special. So I don't mean to you, right? So all of our brands are special to us. Like if someone said Lemon Seed is the most ridiculous brand, like you need to change this, I would be like, excuse me, like that's my heart and soul. But at the end of the day, some of you, us, have very weak logos and looks, and therefore it leans into most of the time a very shallow brand presence in the market. Now, I'm not going to tell you, there's some people that have terrible logos but have great presence in their market. So you really need to look at that also holistically. So, if you struggle for organic search, direct search, so if you want to know how good your brand is, ask your website company, how many people are actually searching my name?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a direct search. That means people, they wanted you so bad, they remembered your name and they went and said, McWilliams Heating and Air Conditioning. Not AC near me, not AC repair, not contractor near me. People don't search that anyway. But, they went and said, I want to talk to McWilliams. Ask them how many times you're being searched. And if you're very rarely being searched in a month, then that tells you that your mass media, your environmental exposure, and probably the actual look of your brand is underperforming.
Yeah. That's all of this is fantastic information. And every time I talk to you, I always learn new things. It's always great. So for anyone listening and they think, oh my gosh, I have got to work with Lemon Seed, how would they get in touch
I love
with
it. You? Of course, lemonseedmarketing.com. You can contact us. I do ask you a little bit of information just so I know who I'm going to be talking to. So it asks you for a little bit of information, just like a little company profile. So I can make sure that I'm prepared with ideas already for you. And then you get a link to schedule a time. It's all complimentary, Justin. I don't charge because not always are we going to be the right fit. Normally I'm looking for contractors that are ready to spend about $100,000 in marketing overall. Just to give you a good idea, I would love to, friends and family talk free. So if you just want to talk, those are complimentary. But at the end of the day, my goal is to see if and how Lemon Seed can help you grow your brand, feel more organized, and just be a good marketing support team for you. And so again, there's no obligation. I love to just chat and let me see what you got going on. So basically a free analysis of what you have implemented already and how we can help. So those are the easiest ways. And then if you just want to go follow us on social media, we're watching all of our social media channels for Lemon Seed Marketing. and my podcast From the Yellow Chair.
Which is a fantastic podcast, by the way. Yes, it is awesome.
Okay.
Listen, I've told you a couple times, I'm a huge Crystal fan. I'm a huge Lemon Seed fan. So think about this. Think about all the value that Crystal just gave us on our time together today. Imagine if she was on your team, how much would you be able to take your company to the next level and absolutely crush the competition? And, let's do it. So reach out to Crystal.
I would love to talk.
Reach out to Crystal and let her and her team really get you to where you need to be. So Crystal, again, Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
You.
And for everybody in the community, reach out to Crystal. Let her know you heard this on the podcast. That would mean a lot to me because I like to help. So until next time, we'll see you.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.